Hello friends, I am Prabhat Sharma and today we'll discuss how to monitor uptime of your applications. Our goal is to monitor uptime of our applications, and these applications could be a web application, a website, or something else. And these could be running on the standard HTTP protocol or TCP. We could even test them using standard ping command, or they could be using gRPC. And there are multiple ways in which we could do that. For HTTP, we would also want to get different status codes if they are not 200, and we'll try to figure those things out. The tools that we would be using are Prometheus Blackbox Exporter, and OpenObserve. So Prometheus is a tool that allows you to capture metrics from different applications that expose metrics in Prometheus exposition format, and we will cover that. And Prometheus Blackbox Exporter is a helper tool to Prometheus that allows monitoring of external applications. And this is what we'll be using today together with Prometheus. And OpenObserve is um, it's an observability tool that allows to store Prometheus data for long term, visualize it, build dashboards, send alerts, and a lot more. So at a high level, how does Prometheus and this whole solution work? The way Prometheus works is that Prometheus scrapes metrics at a slash metrics endpoint for any application that exposes it. So, for example, an application is an HTTP server, for example, Nginx. If Nginx exposes HTTP metrics of how many requests it has served, how many of them were 500 status, how many of them were 200 status, they will be available under slash metrics. And this could be any application. So in this particular example, this application will be Prometheus Blackbox Exporter, which will essentially call our external application that we are testing, and then Prometheus will get those from slash metrics endpoint and send them to OpenObserve. This is the high level flow. So let's quickly go ahead and get Prometheus. Uh, our goal here is to learn and not to deploy something in production right away. So the way we'll be doing it is we'll download Prometheus, run that on our local machine. We'll also run Prometheus Blackbox Exporter on our local machine. And we'll also run OpenObserve on our local machine and show everything how things work. So you go to prometheus.io and download whatever binary that suits you based on your platform. I have a Mac M1, which is Darwin ARM64, which is not here. So I'm going to go to the Prometheus GitHub repository. There they have releases, and they have multiple binaries available over here. So one of them is Darwin ARM64, which is what is suitable for my laptop, and which was released 2 weeks ago. I'm going to download that. But in my case, I've already downloaded that, and that particular binary is right here. I've downloaded it and unzipped it. So this is Prometheus binary. And I've placed that in a bin folder and I've put that in a path so that I can run it from anywhere. Next, what we would be needing is Prometheus Blackbox Exporter. So you go to Prometheus Blackbox Exporter, go to the releases, and download whatever is appropriate for you. In my case, again, Darwin ARM64. And again, I have already downloaded this. And this is what I downloaded. And we had 4 files here: blackbox.yaml, which is the configuration file, a license, and a notice, and the actual binary. I've moved that binary from this folder to here, the Blackbox Exporter, in my bin folder. So what we'll be doing is And what we'll also do is we will need to run OpenObserve locally. So if you go to OpenObserve documentation, okay, so you can actually go from here from docs, and you can go to quick start. There are various ways to get started. Either you could use OpenObserve Cloud, or you could have a self-hosted installation. And this section is essentially for testing, for the self-hosted installation, because this runs a single node installation. This might be good enough for a lot of people who do not want a highly available system. Uh, so you could be running on Windows, Mac OS, or Linux, or Docker. You could use Docker, or you could install it in Kubernetes using a manifest file. I will quickly try to run OpenObserve using Docker. And what I'm doing here is, what I've done is that I've created a quick shell script. The first line essentially here, line number 3, logs into ECR. You may or may not need this. Directly running this probably might help as well. Sometimes because I have AWS CLI installed, sometimes it gives me error when the session expires. So I just run this. You don't really need to pay anything to AWS. Just have AWS CLI installed. Probably you don't even need that. And then second, run the Docker command, which is pretty much the same command here. And there are a couple of extra items that I'm running here, extra parameters, but that's it. You could run the same command here too. And so let's run OpenObserve. Once you run this, it'll create a data folder where it'll start storing its data. And here it'll be available on port 5080. And I was signed in earlier, but let's root at example.com. This is what we gave here, root at example.com as a username, and the password as complex path #123. So let's copy this and paste it here and sign in. This is where you will reach. Okay. And then let's go ahead and run Prometheus and Blackbox Exporter. So what I have here is both Prometheus and Blackbox Exporter, they require a config file. Remember when we downloaded Blackbox Exporter, it came with a blackbox.yaml file. This is the same blackbox.yaml file. Let's inspect it quickly. It has a section called modules, http_2xx, prober http. This is what will be, and protocol is IPv4. This is what we would be using for us in our test. You could do a lot more tests like HTTP post, TCP connect, POP3, gRPC, SSH banner. You could even do IRC banner. And ICMP is standard ping command. Okay, and ICMP TTL 5 seconds. So that too. So let's go ahead and run the Blackbox Exporter. The way to run Blackbox Exporter is that you run the Blackbox Exporter binary and provided the configuration file. We're going to run this, copy this, and run this here, or we could simply run our blackbox.sh file. So we have Blackbox Exporter running. It is running on port 9115. So let's see what do we get on port 9115. Localhost 9115. Blackbox Exporter. By default, it gives you a link that allows you to probe Prometheus.io for using module http_2xx. Remember, we saw this module http_2xx. This essentially probes any website, literally any website, any URL. Okay, and this is essentially all the metrics for this particular Prometheus.io in Prometheus exposition format. Any application, remember we saw here, any application that exposes metrics in Prometheus exposition format, Prometheus can scrape them. So right now, Prometheus Blackbox Exporter is just another application. We also have OpenObserve running here, right? So OpenObserve also exposes its metrics in Prometheus exposition format on what it does. So we could see scrape OpenObserve as well, matrix as well. And let's take a couple of things here for Prometheus Blackbox Exporter, what it gives you. Let's zoom in a little bit. Probe DNS lookup time in seconds and type gauge. Generally, for you to understand Prometheus, if you don't already understand it very well, Prometheus has 4 different kinds of metrics. We go to the documentation and metric types. It has types, matrix of type counter, gauge, histogram, and summary. Counter and gauge are the two that are most used. Counter is something that keeps increasing monotonically, say like the number of HTTP requests and whatnot. Okay. A gauge is like something CPU or memory which can go up and down. So counter keeps increasing, it never comes down. Okay. And gauge, it can go up and come down. Okay. And here it's of type gauge. Look up time in seconds. It can go up and down. Most of these here, like probe HTTP duration in seconds, for phase connect, processing, resolve, how much time it has taken. Was there a redirect that happened? Okay, what is the status code? And similarly, if you take a look at metrics exposed by OpenObserve, so your incoming requests, status 307, okay, value 1. Incoming requests, cluster, similar, with the different labels. This is of type counter. Type gauge, number of organizations. Since OpenObserve is a multi-tenant system, it can have multiple organizations. Okay. Meta storage bytes. What is the total number of bytes stored in metadata? Okay, and quite a lot of information. You can get a lot of this information on what are the metrics that are available by going to the OpenObserve documentation and by clicking monitoring OpenObserve. And these are the metrics that are exposed and what their data type is. So let's go and take a look. So our Blackbox Exporter is now running. Now what we want to do is run Prometheus itself. So before we run Prometheus, let's take a look at Prometheus configuration file, prometheus.yaml. So global evaluation criteria, we don't really care. What we care for is scrape intervals right now. So scrape intervals is, remember this particular diagram here? Prometheus makes an HTTP call at a defined interval every time, and that is a scrape interval. You can define that by default, that is 15 seconds. So every 15 seconds it will make a call to this application, whatever you specify. In this particular second, 15 seconds for this Prometheus instance. And then there are scrape configs, like job name. Job name is Blackbox. Matrix path is /probe. So this is the /probe matrix path. Parents module HTTP2XX. Okay. And then static config. And you're defining HTTP localhost 5080. 5080 in this particular case, we are trying to simply observe and see if OpenObserve itself is up and running. You can have any website here like Prometheus.io or even Google.com. Doesn't really matter what your application is. And then there's some relabeling config. Then here is the next important section called remote write. So Prometheus can send data. Prometheus is not highly available. It also stores data locally, which means that if something happens to your instance where Prometheus is running, you'll be out of that data will not be available anymore. So you want to generally send Prometheus metrics to a system that can store data for longer term. And OpenObserve is one of those applications. It can store data in S3, it can run in highly available mode, and you can use it can accept data from Prometheus using Prometheus remote write. So we need to tell Prometheus how to send data to OpenObserve. So the way you tell to Prometheus is by, and what are the parameters that are needed? You go to ingestion, logs and metrics, go to metrics, and you can pick up this particular section in your application. It'll give you the URL, the username, and the password. So let's copy this and replace this particular section. And we are good to go from here. Let's start. And I have created a similar script, a one-liner script, prometheus-config.file equals /prometheus.yaml. So let's run this. Run prom.sh. And Prometheus has started just like that. So Prometheus OpenObserve stores data in streams. So we don't really have any streams here right now, but soon we should start getting some data. Yes, we have the data coming in. The document numbers and ingest amount of data, that'll take some time to get updated while we keep getting data, because these numbers are very small. Let's go to metrics. Here. So a lot of these metrics are now available. Up, scrape, HTTP version, redirects. So let's take a look at probe HTTP status code. And run this. So we've got 2 scrapes at this point in time. Probe HTTP status code, localhost 5080, and status 200. Okay. In order to better understand this, let's go to dashboards and let's create a dashboard. Blackbox 1. And let's add a panel here. You can create dashboards from logs, metrics, or traces. In our case, we are more interested in creating dashboards from metrics right now. And OpenObserve allows you to query metrics data using either SQL or PromQL. It also provides you a drag and drop mechanism, a GUI for building your dashboards. In order to better understand what data that we gathered from Prometheus Blackbox Exporter, let's look at the tabular form of the data. In x-axis, let's have, in tabular form, you don't really have x and y-axis, but for the most charts, you would need that. So in x-axis, let's have timestamp, instance, job, Prometheus, and then value. And let's apply this. So you'll see job is black box here, column, which is what we had here, line number 9. This is not super useful, so we could actually get rid of this job. And then Prometheus, these are external labels. So monitoring KATS. Here, external labels, Prometheus is the name of the label, and monitoring /KATS. We would actually remove this too. Not really much of use. So yeah, here's the instance. This is what is being monitored at this time, and DNS lookup time. How much time it took to look up for DNS. Let's look at the status codes. Status code 200. Let's say, okay, status code 2, status code, and let's save this. So now we know, and if we keep refreshing it every time we get more data, we'll get this information. Let's take a look at some more metrics that we got from Prometheus Remote Write and Prometheus Blackbox Exporter. You can actually here, hold on. Okay, metrics and this one. Let's say scrape duration or probe duration in seconds. How much time did it take to probe. You can either have your table, x-axis timestamp, and then instance, and then value. How much time did it take to probe? This is the data. You could actually also do PromQL. PromQL only supports right now a line chart or a time series chart. We could copy this, okay, and run this. So how much time did it take over a period for every probe? You could get this probe duration. We could save this. That's a little smaller. We don't need it to be this big, or maybe we need. Okay. What else? Matrix, and then HTTP SSL. Okay. Here, timestamp, instance, value. So SSL is 0 simply because this is HTTP. Yeah. Something else. HTTP redirects. So every request has been redirected. Why? If we go here and try to access it here, it will redirect us to /web. So that is why. And you can take a look at any of these, whether the probe itself was successful or not. Okay, so then each of the probes were successful. Let's see, you know what, let's go ahead and kill OpenObserve or stop OpenObserve for a little while and see what happens. Okay, does Prometheus remote write? Okay, it tested local 5080, connection refused. I think we should have one entry. Let's start this one because this is what shows us dashboards. So let's get rid of this. Okay. You see, here status code is 0. Here the time literally is kind of 0. Nothing came up here. So this is something that will allow you to monitor your applications. What you can also do is you can generate alerts. So you can add an alert, but to add an alert, you can first need to have templates. A template essentially is like, where do you want to send data? To Slack. If you want to send it to Slack, say Slack 1. Okay, Slack template 1, and we simply copy this. Okay. And we save this. You can send it to Prometheus Alert Manager 2, which provides much better alerting capabilities. We'll cover that in a separate session. And save. And then under destinations, you say my Slack, OpenObserve Slack. Okay. And then pick up Slack template 1, and then pick up a URL. The way you have, you can pick up, since you can actually send it to any destination at this point in time. All you have to do is specify a URL, a method, and then whatever the template was, the data that needs to send, that you needed to send, and then header. If you want to understand more about alerting capabilities, you could alert templates. These are some of the templates. Okay. And you can get more information about them, official Slack documentation on how to create a webhook for Prometheus Alert Manager, and there are a couple: VCOM, Faciu, Matrix, OpsGenie. These are some of the tools where the templates are available that you can pick it up from here, and pretty much any tool that you need, we should be able to generate alerts for them. There are no email alerts at this point in time, but if there are, but you can send them to Alert Manager, Prometheus Alert Manager, Alert Manager allows you to send emails as well. It allows you to do quite a lot of the allows you to do grouping, inhibition. It allows you to also silence some of the alerts, and does quite a lot of things. So Prometheus Alert Manager is a good destination for sending alerts. And then you can generate alerts, say destinations. Let's quickly create a destination. Dest1 and template slash template1 URL http localhost something localhost. That doesn't really matter. We'll save it. And then add an alert. Say up application up application status to not 200, and we'll go to metrics, stream name, status code. Here schedule, we could actually have it can run periodically, or you can have it in real time as well. And then you can have value is not equals to 200, and destination you can pick up destination 1 and save it. And whenever the value is not 200, we'll send an alert to that particular destination if that is valid. In this particular case it is not valid, but you know what to do. That is all for today, friends. See you again.